opposite of north, excuse me. Ant meaning opposite, and Arctic meaning north. Like the Arctic, when people think of Arctic, excuse me, they think of far north pole, cold area, right? Okay. Asia, coming from the Phoenician Asu, which means east. Oh, isn't Asia in the east? So the name of each of these continents is exactly what it describes, and what it is what it means, meaning they didn't give it a name that has nothing to do with the geography of it, is what I'm saying. Australia, and now this one's called Unknown Land in the South. That's Australia. Europe, that's another one that we should be familiar with. It's named after a Phoenician, in Greek mythology, it's named after a Phoenician prince, a Phoenician consort of Zeus. And it refers to go down or to set, as in the sun setting. Don't you see also how these etymological descriptions of the continents can tell you about astronomy as well, meaning astronomy is a prevalent and significant science throughout culture, throughout Indo-European cultures, throughout Asian cultures, because again, to set, they're referring to the sun, right? So there's Asian culture. You can see that in American culture. Astronomy and astrology is a part of everything that we see in culture and in religions, right? And even in the practices that we do, and you see it in the name of the continents. Now, with the countries, you have Sierra Leone, which means Lion Mountain. Dominican Republic, the Republic of Dominic, and Dominic refers to the head. It also refers to Sunday as in Domingo, which is the head day of the week. Therefore, the week starts on Sunday, not on Monday, because that's the moon day. The second, it starts on Sunday. Dominicus also refers to lordly, again, lordly because of being the head, Yes, that's your hand up.
Islam, hold on 1 second.
Oh.
Hold on, Selah. I want to let the brother Baruch come. He wants to say a little something real quick to you guys. Everybody know Baruch?
Yes.
Okay. Islam.
I got to be careful. I got all these scholars in there. I got to check my etymology and the hermeneutical scholarly work that I did before. No, but great pleasure to speak with you earlier. I want to thank everybody for coming out today. It's again an honor to be able to host an activity such as this, and I can see the thirst and the drive as I'm able to see you all when you don't know I'm seeing you all. Just seeing the room full last week was like really a blessing to know that there's so many of us that have a drive and a hunger and a desire to get information to correct and to improve upon our situation. And I got to thank Brother Ali, because Ali came back to me after, you all know, when Taj was coming down at first, it was here, and then we moved to another place, and then Ali came back to me and said, hey, would you be willing, and would you be able to open up your house to allow us to come back in? And Everlasting Life and this whole vision was to provide a viable food source to a community that's disserved and underserved. And if you only look at food as what you chew, as opposed to what you digest and consume, you miss it, because that's what it is that we're getting tonight. You're getting that food that you wouldn't get otherwise, and that viable food that will cause us and allow us to many times change our circumstances, empower us, and improve our situation as a community of people. So, I'm really honored to be able to host this, and I'm also responsible, and I want to share my responsibility in that I want us to know that, the relationship that I have with Brother Ali and how this all comes into being and how this is really going to work is when you all recognize that, okay, let me help the brother out. Let me support his business as he's doing something that maybe I just thought it was a restaurant, because I'm not a restaurateur. I didn't go to Wharton School of Restaurant Management in order to figure out how to run a management. I realized that in our community, food is where we are being attacked. Nutrition is where we're being attacked. Health is where we're being attacked. And I said, I'm going to leave corporate America making $250,000 a year as a corporate engineer. I jumped out of that and I said, our people got to eat. Our people got to eat healthy food. You know, so I want you all to understand the responsibility that I took on, and I need your support in that decision. As you know, you all got to know, some of you all know how to eat. Some of y'all know to eat healthy, and you know where we're coming from with the food here. You know, it's there's a challenge that I have for those of us who are, you know, really strong, stomp down nationalists. You're really tough and you mean, and you could kick my behind right now because you're just that tough. You studied all the stuff that you need to study, but then you eat the food of your enemy. And how does that translate in your mind? Is it just because it tastes so good? Is it because it's so inexpensive? Is it because it's so readily available to you in your neighborhood? You know, and if we don't support the institutions that support us, then what we'll end up having to do is go to the Mormons' Marriott and you know, do our work inside of, you know, an institution that, you know, I'm sure there are times that we've run over, you know, and this is our house, you know, so let's show your support. I appreciate it if you do. I'm not able to come here and talk to you all every week, but if you would show your support, it makes it easier for us, you know, to continue this. So when Brother Ali says, like he's told me just tonight, he wants to take another night on so that we could do this and expand the conversation and give our people an opportunity to hear again information that they're not hearing anyplace else, you know, and confabbing with people that they might not otherwise be connecting with otherwise, you know. So you know, show your support. And this isn't about beating you over the head, you know. I'm just asking, and I'm asking because, you know, it's that kind of hour, you know. Asking because it's that kind of hour. I could use your support. So I want to thank you. I want to thank the brother and the sister, and brother and all those who are speaking and all those in the audience. Brother Ali, you know, for putting this together and having a vision to make it happen, because I know it ain't easy. It ain't easy. It's not easy for, you know, folks to travel from wherever they travel from, you know, so show respect and honor and support them. And let's continue to build, you know, and prayerfully, you know, you'll hear about the new restaurants that we're opening up in the area, and you'll see the continued expansion as we look to expand on, again, not just the food that we consume and chew, but the nourishment that we get through our ears and our eyes and all the other ways that we get in. Thank you all very much.
You know, I personally have made a change in my eating habits about, I'd say about 5 years ago. You know, I changed a lot up. And one of the things I always tell my students is that you have to be able to read what is in your food. So etymology can help you with that too. So just wanted to tie in. You know. No, seriously. I mean, I always say if you see a word and it's not something that you can readily identify as food, then 9 times out of 10 it's not, and you probably don't want to eat it. You don't want to ingest it. So, and then you can find out what that chemical is via etymology. So, you know, you stating that actually makes me think I might want to put that in my presentation too. Yeah. So, all right. So we left off Puerto Rico, right? Puerto Rico means rich port. I put this piece of gold here because that should let you know why was the port where quote unquote Puerto Rico was located, why was it so rich? Because of the gold. Okay. Etymology of the name of the place can tell you a lot. I found that some places are named in Latin or Spanish or French, depending on who occupied the land, right? So these are examples. Honduras is Spanish for depth. Then you have names where the origins have, the original name has just been anglicized. It's been, or romanced, which means made into a Latin form or made into a English, Anglo-English, made into what we would say in English today. So Haiti, in Arawak or Taino, it's Haiti. Haiti, without the H. Haiti, without the H. Not Haiti, that's the modern day English way to say the word, right? So these are key because you can kind of see more closely what the indigenous name of the place is, okay? And it means mountainous land. Jamaica as well. Jamaica, however, the meaning of it is land of wood and water. Also, it's been found to mean land of springs. Therefore, once again, very, very, very similar in the way it's spelled, very close to the way it's pronounced, but it's just been given a more English or Latin sounding name. Then you have ones that are just based off of, I'll go to this one, that are based off of the indigenous name, coming from the tribes. So here we have, I chose all of these. If you notice, all these nations have a similar ending. They all end in what? Stan, right, which refers to standing, like standing in a place. So it refers to the land. This is the land, Paki is pure. So Pakistan is pure land. Afghan is a tribal name. So Afghanistan is the land of the Afghans. Hindustan, which is India, which we know is India today, transliterates from Indus, which is Latin, to Hindu, which is Persian, to Sind, which is the ancient name. Kazakhstan, tribe. Kazakh is a tribe. Tajik is a tribe. Here, I thought this was interesting. When you break down this word right here, the K-R-Y, it refers to tribes. And the K-R-Y-G refers to tribes. The Y-Z, this part right here, refers to 40. So it's the land of 40 tribes. And, you can see the rest up here. So point being that these are more closely linked to the indigenous name because here, these are the tribes that were prevalent in that particular area. So that's just something I noted as well that I added to my presentation. I'm going to keep adding to it. I'm going to add terms about the study of flags and the study of seals and adding things about genealogy, about your bloodline, about pedigree, about consanguinity. So, I'm going to add to this presentation, and each time I come, I will present a little bit more. Okay. Where'd he go? My time. 8:56, so I got about 5 minutes. Okay. All right, in my last 5 minutes, I have another presentation to bring up. Abdullah, I'm having trouble. Okay, I got it, but I want to get out. Okay. Last one. Okay, this is picking up from ordinary, and then, we're all looking them up together. So we're studying together. It's not just, we're not just presenting, but we are workshopping. This is class, right? Let's see. Is anybody, and remember, where do you find the Indo-European root of the word? It's what? Etymological brackets, that's right. So, has anybody found theirs yet? Yes, what is your root? Uh-huh. Knowledge. Does it give you Proto-Indo-European? Okay, that's right. Yours is S-K-E-I. S-K-E-I. Did you find yours? Let me see your word. Okay. And then you would look that word up, but you don't have time right now. But you would look that word up. And you're going to see But look, but notice this. It says science. Oh, similar to what word did I have him look up? Scientific, which again refers to knowledge. So that's how you're able to see what nice really means when you look it up in that dictionary, because you see it's related to the word science. Science meaning to know. Therefore, when can I put that up? Yeah, it's okay. N-E of science, right? That's what she found in her dictionary. Okay, so you see the word science, N-E in front of it, meaning not. That's how you get not. Well, what does science mean? To know. So to not know. That's why nice means to not know. Okay, what did we get for witness? So looking it up, what did we get for advisory? Mm-hmm. Where's the advisory? Mm-hmm. What you would want to do, okay, let me state this for everybody. When you are looking in your dictionary, if you cannot find the word, if you can't see it in the brackets for that word, you want to look up another word that has the same root just by looking at it. Therefore, advisory, right? If I take off the AD, what do I have? And I take off the Y, what do I have? Visor, right. So you would want to look that up. What I'm going to tell you for the sake of time is that, so here are the roots, and here are the Proto-Indo-European roots. Notice that witness was W-I-T. Advisory was V-I-D. That's the root. Then I take it further back to its Indo-European root, because these are roots in different languages, in Greek, in Latin, but we want to trace it back to its mother, which is Indo-European, which is W-E-I-D, which means to look or to see. That's why vid and wit both mean to look or to see, because they have the same Indo-European root. I didn't have y'all look this one up, but look at the word affidavit. Root is fid, and then look at fealty. The root F-E-A. Both of them have been transliterated from this root B-H-E-I-D-H, which means fid. Okay, so you want to get your words down to here. Now, again, my goal today was to actually show you how the spelling changes, because there are different methods of changing the way that a cognate is spelled. For example, I have B-I-D and W-I-T. What has changed? The W has changed, the B and the W has changed, the D and the T has changed. And there are two forms of constant change that we use to classify the types. One is called permutation, which is changing the spelling of a cognate through a classification system. And then you have transmutation, which is changing across a classification system. Abdullah actually has this on his website. This is how you classify consonants. All right. I don't know if you can tell, but this is labials, that's your lips, nasals, that's your teeth, gutturals, that's your throat. How do I make the sound? Oh, I make labial sounds with my mouth. Like, like the letter M. I use your lips. You always use your talk. But your lips, I use my lips to make the M. I use my lips to make the B, right? Same for P, V, F, and W. Versus my teeth, the dominant usage. For T, I'm using my teeth mostly. For D, using my teeth mostly. So you want to study this. This is on Abdullah's website. I suggest you all look at it, because I will refer to this when I really get into the change of the forms. I would have gotten into it today, but I really wanted to show you all the presentation, because my colleagues really enjoyed it. I mean, European and Moorish colleagues. I mean, the Europeans look shocked, like, oh my God, who heard all this information? I mean, they looked really shocked. They were looking at me it's powerful. It's powerful. And that, I say Islam, and thank you very much.
Document, that's a brief on the clear field. I'm going to give you, we talked about this earlier, but one thing I recognize is that a lot of our people really need to understand what's going on in order to have a remedy. Are we clear? I want to inform you that I'm also doing a critique on the House Joint Resolution 194, which was introduced by Europeans apologizing for holding slavery, etc., and all the injuries. But I'm doing a connotative, denotative critique of it and going to present it back to the House of Representatives for them to clean it up. Because one of the things they're considering is publicizing that, etc., but they're still publicizing it or presenting it with a lot of connotative linguistics. It has an appearance of support, but unless you correct the language, unless you put things in perspective, it's dead, and it continues. But the requirement by the international community on our part is for us to speak up. Unfortunately, this is one of the keys, and this is why it's very important to understand etymology, because it's one of the very keys. Because keep this in mind, I know all of you are aware of the constant phrase that you hear, cultures in the language. And what you'll see is COINTELPRO operatives who get that backdoor payoff with the European will try to minimize the importance of etymology because that breaks the system that they set up to dumb our people down. Are we clear? When you, and just like Brother Abdullah was saying and Sister Selah was saying, one of the interesting things you'll find with Europeans, they'll try to minimize the importance of etymology and then turn around and hold you to the standard as soon as you have an issue in law. This is why 9 times out of 10, when our people have any kind of legal problem as far as taxes, IRS, or anything else like that, and they go in there talking that hood language, and they get screwed. But then but in the schools, they're going to try to tell you that this is unimportant. Your law books are etymologically correct in general. Are we clear? They may structure the dispensations of the definitions in a manner that you have to have another background to read between the lines. However, law books are based on etymological correct dispensations of denotations distinguished from connotations. And usually, if it's connotatively constructed, they will put a section in there that will qualify it as such. So keep that in mind. Whenever somebody tries to tell you that etymology is not important, look for COINTELPRO or look for the Europeans engineering, because what happens is as you're waking up, it breaks the system of the ignorance that they feed off of. Are we clear? Let me make some things clear. The Clearfield doctrine, and I won't go through everything because we'll do that in a future class. I'm going to give you a broader history on the origin of the Clearfield doctrine, even though the Clearfield doctrine was initiated based on a case of a check being cashed in Clearfield, Pennsylvania. But it was so that's where it got its name. But it's really based on the principle, which most people don't know because you're not really taught proper history, is that the United States Republic, with the order of European operations at Morocco that's sanctioned to do business by treaty, was overthrown. Are we clear? Do you all understand? Are you following where I'm coming from? Most people aren't aware of that. And so most people, when you say U.S. government or United States government, they immediately be thinking they're citizens and they be thinking it's the land, or they don't even know the difference between a political metaphor and the geography, the physical land. That's dangerous with our people. Much of what we're talking about is that must be clear with you so we can fix some things with you. Are we clear? And people can give you information, and if you're not aware of those nuances, understand that people who are taking advantage of you are not going to make that issue with you. If you start saying you're a U.S. citizen, you don't know that you just said that you're Christian property under the 14th Amendment, a corpse, dead. Are we clear? This has much to do with the hypothecation claim that the Jesuits are making through the United States Corporation Company and the 1040 tax form to the Queen of England that you think is going to your children. 40% goes to the Queen of England, the 60% goes to the Jesuits under the secret Treaty of Verona, which I know that most people aren't even aware of. Are we clear? So it's important for you to know these nuances so that you don't keep getting screwed. Other thing I want you to all understand is that income has nothing to do with wages or anything that you're compensated for by your labors. Are we clear? Because I'm recognizing a lot of people aren't aware of that. Income, let me make it very clear. We're talking law, we're talking fact. Income applies only to profits made from capital gains of investment by a corporate entity. Are we clear? That word does not apply anywhere else in relationship to what you generate because you're working for somebody. And they have mixed the two. And they've been screwing you with that. So when you start talking about, you got paid and you got income, you just lied, but they'll hold you to it. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And you fill out a tax form and say you got income, you've agreed, unbeknownst to you, to be a corporation as distinguished from a natural being just by agreeing that you had income. If you don't have stock in Sears and that stock didn't generate some finance, not the capital investment, but the profit generated off that is the income. Nothing else is. And if you're confused about that, they certainly ain't going to tell you. Well, we're telling you. All right? You got that clear, y'all? Islam, good brother. Get the brother mic. Please pass the mic around. Let's keep this solid. The other deal, as we're going on, I want to reemphasize that. Go ahead, good brother.
So there's a difference between income and wages.
Yes. Now, compensation is called pecuniary compensation. Pecu, or pecuniary, is really related to cows because remember, the culture and society on earth was agricultural. And so we used to trade with cows, animals, blah, blah. So pecun relates to cows, stuff like that. All right? So pecuniary compensation is related now in government for those compensations made for your wages and your labor. Are we clear? That's pecuniary compensation. Distinguished from income, which is the profits made by corporate investment only. Now, how many of y'all got stock in some corporate company? You got some stock in some corporate company? Got some stock certificates? Huh? You got, is anybody in here, guys? How about, anybody got stock in Enron? Anybody got stock in the electric company? Anybody got stock in BMW? Y'all got, how about y'all got any stock in the water companies? Y'all got stock in the airplane, Boeing and stuff like that? If you don't have stock, you never had income. Are we clear, everybody? Can you please repeat that? If I don't have stock in a foreign corporate entity and have not received a profit of that investment, I never had income. So when somebody says, how much income you got? And you start saying, oh, I had $5.50. You lied. But guess what? They'll hold you to it. And this is how they've been tricking you with your income tax. That don't damn apply to you. Never damn did. Until you agreed to it. Because you can't read. Etymology. Are we clear? So when brothers and sisters and other people tell you that you got income and didn't qualify it, they set you up. That's why we're so firm on our emphasizing on you being able to read, because they've been taking advantage of our people because they can't damn read. And they've been, how many people here know that the 1040 form that the people fill out every April, 40% goes to the Queen of England under the secret Treaty of Verona, and the other 60% goes to the Jesuits. Not a penny goes to your schools, not a penny goes to your children, not a penny goes to your health care. All of it goes to England and the Vatican. How many of y'all knew that? Now look around, y'all. Look around. Look around. Look around. Everybody look around at each other. And look how many hands up in this room. Now, that would indicate you why we're in trouble, just on the economic base. Are we clear? How many United States of America are there in the Western Hemisphere? Say it again? 4. Brother said 4. How many? Anybody else? I see wrinkled eyebrows. Now, go do the research. So that is said to you as an example. You would say United States of Mexico, United States of Brazil. That would be Estados Unidos do Brasil. United States of Brazil, they're all America. America is a continent, not a country. This is another flaw that our people don't know because they can't read. And this is called what you call connotative training. So you have a lot of adult people that have the minds of minors, and they're classified as minority. Minorities think that America's a country. And as soon as they say it, they gave up their birthright. They don't know that because they can't read. But they think they can. And you're held to it. So you're declared incompetent, then the European claims your estate. Are we clear? So a child, we got to make sure these babies know right now, South America, Central America, North America, they're continents, right? There's many political jurisdictions on the North Continent, on the Central Continent, and on the South Continent. Are we clear? And they are all Americans, aren't they? So people who can't read think the Europeans who are occupying our land is Americans. And as soon as they call that European American, they just gave up their birthright. Little things like that because they can't read, because they don't understand etymology. Are we clear? So the United States by itself is a political metaphor and must be qualified whenever you're using it in any obligatory or attachment or alliance perspective. Are we clear? I'm going to tell you how important it is. It is so important that our people have no idea between nation states and private foreign corporations. It's another reason why I'm giving you the Clearfield Doctrine. Because it has much to do, well, I ain't going to bother with that because you got it in front of you. The Clearfield Doctrine. Brother, read a paragraph. Let sister read a paragraph. And pass it around. Y'all read a paragraph, and we're going to talk about this because you need to understand that the United States, the Republic, are we clear? Which is the legitimate order that's sanctioned to do business under treaty in Morocco, in the Maghreb. Maghreb is Morocco, the most extreme west. You're standing on the Maghreb. Do you understand? This is why you see that pyramid on the back of the note, but no one speaks under it, because y'all been silent. And they made y'all think it's the devil, and so you reject your own estate, and the European Illuminati is claiming your estate because you think pyramid's the devil because they told you. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? I'm serious. And so if we're going to fix this thing, our people need to know the politics, they need to know language, they need to know what's really going on. Beliefs is not going to get you anywhere but in the grave and poor. Are we clear? It's time to grow up, stop being little boys and girls, put your childish things away, and start dealing with reality. One way to do it is understand culture. Go ahead, read, good brother. Clearfield Doctrine.
Clearfield Trust Company versus United States, 318 U.S. 363-371, 1942. Governments descend to the level of a mere private corporation and
Get closer into the mic, please.
Governments descend to the level of a mere private corporation and take on the characteristics of a mere private citizen, where private corporate commercial paper, Federal Reserve notes, and securities checks is concerned. For purposes of suit, such corporations and individuals are regarded as entities entirely separate from the government.
All right, are you clear? Is anybody clear what's been said to you right in that first paragraph? Raise your hand if you're clear. You're lying. But go ahead. Go, second paragraph.
Okay.
Go ahead, sis.
What the clear fair doctrine is saying and establishing in law is that when private commercial paper is used by corporate government, then government loses its sovereign status and becomes no different than any other mere private corporation.
All right. Yes. Let the sister read this next one.
As such, government then becomes bound by the rules and the laws that govern private corporations, which means that if the government officials, government agency, contractors, employees, or personnel intend to compel an individual to some specific performance based upon its corporate statutes or upon corporation rules, then the government, like any other private corporation, must a holder in due course of a valid and verifiable contract or other evidentiary proof of a commercial agreement between it, the government or agency, and the one, individual or natural person, etc., upon whom demands for specific performance are made.
All right. Go ahead, finish it out. Finish it out, because we're going to talk. We got to talk. Really got to talk.
And further, the government must be willing to enter the contract or commercial agreement into evidence before trying to get the court to enforce its demands, called statutes.
Are we clear? Are you seeing how they don't apply to you? And how they've been falsely making them apply to you? And how these people have been cops and everything, and mortgage companies been pretending they're government, been foreclosing on you, been putting people in jail and locking people up to mandate that you get license insurance, and they're private corporations. They're not even government. And the people didn't know it because they didn't know that the federal United States has been dissolved. That's why we tell you all to read House Joint Resolution 192 so you can understand this, and why we do the rich that we do, why we speak in nature that we do, why we tell you it's important to be yourselves, because if you're transacting business in that European name, he has interest in it, because name denotes possession. That's why the Europeans put their family names on you. So what do you think happens when you go out buying and selling with that European name innocently thinking it's yours? You're simply acting as agent, and you become a corpse. This is why persons who are listed as black people are listed as dead in the view of the law. That's why they have no human rights, because they're outside the human family. Civil liter mortuus, dead in the view of the law. Now, you understand, if you understand that principle, you understand what happened to Dred Scott. Plaintiff in error. And people are talking racism when his status was dead. And we need to get away from the emotional arguments and start dealing with law, what's really happening to our people. On top of the fact that our people keep on thinking that these people run around here falsely claiming to be Americans and falsely claiming to be government are in fact imposters, and they're stealing your identity. And because you won't speak up, and then you start talking about crayons, you're listed as incompetent. And then walking around doing business in their name, you're acting as agency. They do have jurisdiction. Only in that. Do you understand? This is, again, why when they communicate with you with that name that belongs to them, they'll put it in all capital letters, because it ain't yours. It's a title to a trust, to an estate, and it's not you. But if they can trick you to think it's you, now you're obligated to pay. You see why you nationalize? I'm trying to keep this stuff simple so that you can understand why certain things are done, why certain things are said to you. We don't want you to accept things because we say them. We want you to comprehend why it's said from a historical position and from a fact position. Unfortunately, the people aren't aware that the United States federal government has been dissolved. Don't damn exist. You got a feudal order system, and their coming out party was in 1933 under Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Not that they weren't doing it all the time. And so Drew Ali, they got rid of Drew Ali in 1929. 1933, they came out and set up their democracy order, subverting the republic. Thus, the Clearfield Doctrine. You see, now do you understand? You understand the perspective? So this is given to you so you can use it in foreclosure places, so-called foreclosure cases, so-called tickets, so-called any arrests, so-called any loans, so-called anything you're dealing with these people with. They're never government. Stop calling them that. However, by you being the heirs of the world's largest estate, as soon as you call them officer on the spot, you made a trust and you just assigned them. So stop calling them that. As soon as you call them white man, you call them sovereign. So don't get pissed if he acts like the sovereign, because you just declared it because you're an heir. And if you didn't know that, know it now. Are we clear? You need to understand this. They're going to take you for what you say. And if you don't know what you're saying, you're in trouble. And so we got a lot of things to correct so that we can stop having so much trouble. See, what we got to do is heavily reduce the bleeding economically and politically in our communities so that energy can be redirected. Are we clear? You cannot do it without knowing law and history. It's not going to happen. Your emotions don't mean a damn thing in the real world. You're plugged into a false matrix and you must be unplugged. However, you have a right to stay in it if you want to, and you will be sucked dry and dropped just like a carcass. That's what their plan is. That's what our people have been wrongly calling racism, wrongly calling prejudice. It's been the doctrine of discovery and the secret treaty of Verona under Inquisition operations of an occupied people who don't know their home. Are you clear? So you have a feudal order operating and posturing as government, and indeed, in fact, are not. Thus, the Clearfield Doctrine. Are we clear? It's given to you in brief. There's more information that will give you more support, but you need to be clear on this so you can understand why we keep redundantly running our mouths about etymology and about history of law. Because what you recognize, we asked you to raise your hand, about 5 people in this whole crowd raised their hand, and most of you are somewhat scholars, no doubt. You wouldn't be here if you weren't studying. But what does that indicate to you? When we go out into the real world, you're going to get beat up. Because this is the advantage that Europeans, and particularly other nationals who come to the North, are aware of, and why they make economic progress in the end, and our people can't understand, because they understand that this is not a real legitimate government. Our people keep thinking, and the United States government, U.S. citizen. You just said you're a corp. You better qualify it. When you say citizen, nationality must be conjoined with it. And you better get clear on that very fast. They've been tricking our people. You do not say citizen without nationality. They go together. Just like you don't say horn without blowing it. You get the point? Kind of like, it's kind of like that. You know, I'm the best guy, you know, because when I get a horn, you know, I can really get it. And then the brother said, well, brother, I got a sax in the car. Let me go get it. I got a cold right now. Yeah, right. You know, we talk a lot of trash, but in the real world, you're going to be held to this. And we have a lot of fixing to do in a short period of time. Because you must also know, write this down, they've been executing for the last year and a half and accelerating House Joint Resolution 2847. This is where they're going to take all your fiat, all your bank accounts, all your deposit boxes. They're going to be foreclosing like crazy, people who really don't understand this thing, because the nations of the earth are dumping them U.S. corporation T-bonds. And all them bonds is based on the birth certificates, marriage certificates, driver's license, original manufacturer's titles of origin that they possess on your cars, because you don't have title to it. They give you a fake certificate of title. It's all been hypothecated by the Pope. This is why we gave you all the other week, reversioner. That's your consciousness of understanding House Joint Resolution 192 without us having to keep going over it. Are we clear?
There were 2 cases in the last week where they went in people's bank accounts. Nothing wrong, no violation. took the money out. One was for 30,000, one was for.
Yes, and you ain't seen the last of it. They're getting ready to accelerate it because they're trying to save their order, which is dead. This is another reason why they're going in Ukraine. This is why they're starting all these wars. And this is why the Social Security Administration and other so-called U.S. corporate agencies ordered over 40 billion rounds of hollow point bullets, which are unlawful even in war. What, you think they're writing checks with them? I don't think so. We're talking about what's really going on, and our people are asleep looking for a job that ain't gonna be there. And so we're emphasizing these things because you need to be bound with each other. You need to love one another. You need to inform your families, and you need to learn a little bit about estate law and trust law and put everything you got in trust. And if you continue to transact business in that European's name,